POMONA the APPLE MOTHER, IPG2 Decode. November 1st, 2020 was the Day of the Dead. And we know that POMONA was associated with New Year on the pagan calendar. And that would be starting November 1st. So let's dig a little deeper and see what we can find that helps us to associate this time that we're in right now. Okay, here we are, Jeff Overholt. I will attach the link in the description. Please visit his channel and watch the full video. We're just going to pick out this one part so that we can get a little bit of understanding about what we're looking at in this video.
Hey guys, today is Monday, November 2nd, 2020. So in my previous video, I said to watch out for this time period, very high watch period from October 31st to November 2nd, as it's the time frame of the Day of the Dead. Because in IPG2, we have this Baron Samedi character, which represents the Day of the Dead. And a lot of things did occur in this time period. For instance, today we have this hurricane. I think it might actually be a Category 5 right now, but ETA or ETA. Well, just 2 days ago, it was a tropical storm. I mean, it's probably one of the most rapidly intensifying hurricanes I've ever seen before. And also earlier today, we had a terror attack in Vienna's synagogue, killing 3 people. Yesterday, we had Super Typhoon Goni hitting the Philippines, and I think it's the strongest storm of the year 2020. Then before that, we had a large earthquake striking Turkey, 6.6. Right now, the death toll is 94, but it's likely to climb every day it goes up. And actually, I mentioned to watch out for something happening to Turkey around this time period because we see the boy in the whirling dervish. Whirling dervish represents Turkey from the full moon. And just prior to that, we saw Baron Samedi representing the Day of the Dead. So I don't actually think all this was just for a 6.6 earthquake in Turkey. Obviously, it's much more, and it could probably represent another time period. As I believe, this likely also represents another time period, which might be bigger events on the Day of the Dead time frame, such as the year.
Okay, so let's dig a little deeper, and we're going to look at this section where POMONA comes into play, which is directly after the scenes that he was talking about. And what I believe is that this is a segmented breakdown of the time, and I believe that all of this comes into play at this time. And there have been many watchmen who, over the years, associated this with the past, all in the past, associated with past days. Even I myself, in 2017, I believed that this circle that you see here in the bottom, and I believe it still may actually have a representation of that, but this circle here in the bottom, I believe, is representing a eclipse. And the only, see this dot right here, this this dot that's on the floor. The only thing in Stellarium that I have been able to find that is associated with this sign is the eclipse on December the 25th, 2019. And at that time, Jupiter was literally sitting right there next to the eclipse. And so I believe that time frame is connected here. And for those of you who have seen my videos on the wedding betrothal and the wedding betrothal time period of being 1 year, that wedding betrothal from December the 25th, 2019 will end on December the 14th, 2020 with the total solar eclipse, which is the only time you can see with your own eyes the corona of the sun. And I believe that this is what we're seeing here is a representation of the time between the Day of the Dead, Halloween, the Day of the Dead, and this coming up period before January 20th, when we have the sun entering into Capricorn. And that has huge significance. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just take a second to break down a couple of the signs, because I have a very limited amount of time to work on this today. This is my 4th time trying to load this video, and it has taken an extreme amount of time to get this right. So I'm hoping that we can make this happen, and if it does cut off, I'm going to go ahead and load what it captures. So as of right now, what we're going to do is we're going to back up 1 second, and we're going to look at this transitional time. So here we are at 1 minute and 15 seconds in, and I want you to see, because I believe that the time is in play. Time is in play. So let's look. We're at 1 minute and 15 seconds into the video. And what we see here is now at it actually back up to 1:17. At 1:17, we get this image. And for those of you who know about 1:17, which backwards is 7:11, this is an encoded time, an encoded number. And I believe that this is the same as saying 911. If you remember Trump, excuse me, I need to get some tea. If you remember, Trump was talking about 911 and he said 711. So we're talking about code here. And this image comes up at 7:11 or 117, however you want to look at it. And then we're going to move forward, and I want you to pay attention. If you can't see it that good, then go ahead and pull this video up for yourself. And I want you to pay attention to the time. So we're going to move forward. Okay. Now, I want you to pay attention to something that will help us to decipher what just transpired. So we went from 1:17 to 1:20. Before this time, there was no light back here at the exit. No light. But all of a sudden at 1:20 we have light lighting up the exit. And I believe this is associated with the January 20th date. And I believe there are codes running right now for a 45 or 50-day period. I haven't nailed down the exact timing yet. That runs up to January the 20th. I believe Steve Fletcher may have even touched on this in some of his videos. I believe he's made some connections to December the 5th and Obama in 2017. So I'm going to have to go back and look at those videos again. I'm not trying to nail down exactitudes yet because these things need to be proved out in the heavens first. So what I'm trying to do is see how this comes into play. And everything that's happening right now tells me that this video was not made for any time in the past except for right now. Because everything shown here is in play. So what we have is Pomona as Lily holding the apple. And if you go and pull up Stellarium, what you're going to notice is a couple things. We're going to break down who Pomona is. I believe Pomona is Virgo. And what we're looking at is Virgo and the other 12 constellations. Remember, we have 13 constellations now if you include Ophiuchus. And I believe that in our time that would be correct because Ophiuchus is literally taking over Scorpio. And so we have a transitional time that we're in. And eventually, I believe that Ophiuchus will be the constellation, the 12th constellation. But right now we have 13 constellations that are being shown. And I know there's been other watchmen who have broken these down as months and presidents and all kinds of other things. And I'm not saying that those aren't true or in play. All I'm doing is from a Mazzaroth perspective, which is where my study is deep. I believe that what is being shown is the stars. Everything here is star talk, constellation. We're talking about houses here. And Libra and Virgo and all of the other signs can be associated with that. And we're going to have to go deeper into breaking those down. But what we're seeing here is Virgo holding the apple. And the apple represents what she's sitting on below, which is the sun. So what this is representing is the sun in Virgo. And what we see after this is the sun coming out of Virgo. So now the sun has come out of Virgo and it's transitioning into the next constellations. And we're going to go back just so we can see this image here. So, we're seeing Virgo with the sun. We're also seeing a representation of the solar eclipse. And I believe December 25th when Jupiter was right there. Because there is a mark here for something, and I have not been able to find that in any other time frame. And I've searched all the way back to during the birth of Christ, and I have not found this representation. So I believe this is the December 25, 2019 marker in the heavens of the wedding betrothal. And Virgo is a representation of the virgin or the bride. And I believe that Lily here in a white dress is showing us a bridal sign that we are the bride. Got her hopes up that escape was going to happen in the 7th month. Now look at her face. Escape comes. Her head goes down. She releases. The bride has become discouraged because she thought her escape was coming, and she didn't escape, or something happened, some transition happened where her face goes down, like as if to be depressed. And so I believe this is a dual sign. I believe this is a sign of the time when Lily is holding the apple, which is the 7th month. And I believe it's also a sign on January 20th. So there's a 2-part sign. I believe from my breakdowns of the ancient wedding customs that what we're looking at is multiple brides, with the Gentile bride going first, and then the Israelite bride going second, and the Jewish bride going third. The first bride, represented by Ruth, has 7 years, 2012 to 2019, and then we have the 1-year betrothal. Then we have, starting in 2019, we have 7 years for the Israelite bride. And this will also be the left behind church. And those who were not ready at the time of the escape of the first bride, or the Gentile bride. And I believe that's why the face of Lily has gone down. Because majority of the church will not make this first escape. And I believe the reason they will not make this escape is because they're living in condemnation. They're spending their time judging one another instead of judging the works. They're judging each other. And we cannot do that, brothers and sisters. We have to accept all things gladly, with an open heart, with love, and take it back to the Father and the Spirit, and let Him work out the details. We're not here to judge each other. We're here to love each other. And you cannot love your brothers and sisters when you're spending all your time trying to find faults with one another. Let's all come together in love and help each other rise, because condemnation only brings depression and anxiety and all kinds of negative emotions that have no place in the body of Messiah. We are here to lift each other up and to bring positiveness to the body and excite each other for what is about to transpire. For we are sitting on the doorstep, and in order for us to escape, we need to show love Otherwise, we are not representing our Messiah, and this is why I believe there are many words from his mouth talking about that. It's obviously talking about Christians, how they'll come before him and say, Lord, Lord, did we not do this and didn't do that? And he's going to say, depart from me. So it's time to get our act together. It's time to start showing who we really are. And we need to show love. We need to show appreciation. And we need to accept each other for who each of us are. And we're not all the same. We're not cut out the same. We're all on different paths, different understandings, different perspectives, and we all need to sit back and see if we can't find commonality and move forward from there. I'm not telling you to accept false religion. As many of you know who've watched my videos, I am adamantly against all kinds of false religion and false systems and the false deceptions of the enemy. But that being said, we need to take those things to the Spirit and not judge the individual, for they might not have the understanding in order to decipher what they're doing. And it takes love from another brother to be able to come in and have the proper vision to be able to pull out the speck that's in the brother's eye. Even if it's a plank, we have to be able to come with love to get those out of our brother's eyes.